Hello viewers, this is Usama Khurshid Khan and today we will talk about the trade war between the United States of America and China, and actually it triggered today. As we have seen the major changes in international arena, and according to the Richard N. Hess, he said that now the world is not more multipolar, it's not unipolar, it's not bipolar, but it's a world without poles having different power centers. So according to his thesis, we can witness that major changes are developing within the major powers, and those changes are basically actually impacting on the world. Let me tell you that a trade war between the world's two largest economies officially began today morning as the Trump administration followed through with its threat to impose tariffs on $34 million worth of Chinese product, a significant escalation of a fight that could hurt companies and consumers in both the United States of America and China. So viewers, if we get into the dichotomy of this trade war, according to the President Donald Trump and his advisors argue that tariffs are necessary to pressure China into abandoning unfair practices such as stealing intellectual property and forcing American companies to hand over valuable technology. Whereas Beijing denies it. It said that it is in the wrong and says that it's ready to fight a trade war until the end, which is a very suspicious element in that trade war. Now, underpinning the dispute about technology is Trump's anger at the America's $375 billion deficit in good trade with China, which is a very big quantity. But after 3 rounds of negotiations between the two sides, including a Chinese pledge to significantly increase the purchase of American products, Trump decided to go ahead with the tariffs. And let me tell you that the clash with the China comes as the Trump administration is also fighting over trade with the American allies such as the Canada and the European Union. And in my last program, we have discussed that how it is imposing the tariffs on the traditional allies. So the US tariffs on steel and aluminum imports have provoked retaliatory measures against the billions of dollars of American exports. Trump has added to the tension by threatening new tariffs on the cars, on the byproducts, and on many things. Yet, the tariff on China, the world's largest manufacturing hub, affect a much larger share of product and a great percentage of the companies that rely on the global supply chains, potential hurting American companies even more than the Chinese firm. Viewers, the Trump administration is targeting, and in addition to the tariffs, the White House is placing restrictions on the investment on the visas for the Chinese nationals. The US administration is having a behavior that the trade barriers are being used as a leverage to force Beijing to make changes, including opening its market to the American companies and ending its practice of requiring firms operating in China to hand over the valuable technology. For me, the escalation of the trade war from threat to reality is expected to ripple through the global supply chains, raise cost of businesses and consumers and the royal global stock markets, which have been volatile in anticipation of a prolonged trade war between the United States of America and almost everyone else. So, yesterday, President Trump showed no sign of backing down from his flight, and he was saying around the Air Force One, he said that the first wave of tariffs of $34 billion in goods would quickly be followed by the levies on another $16 billion of Chinese product. And Mr. Trump even continued to threaten China with escalating tariffs on much as $450 billion worth of Chinese goods. Again, it's a very large figure. So, for now, it is very unclear that how or whether the trade war might conclude. We cannot say anything because it's just the start of the trade war. And the Mr. Trump is continually threatening, and it's been like it's wars from the China to retaliate, a stalemate that will require one side to blink first in order to avoid a protracted fight. With no official talks scheduled between the two countries and disagreements within the Trump administration about how best to proceed, a quick resolution seems increasingly unlikely. And let me be very honest, at the moment I don't see how this ends. This is very much in the United States of President's hand, because he's got advisor that seems divided within his administration, substantially, tactically, they are not even mere on the one point that what to do, how to do, and what will be the end results, what will be the cost benefit analysis. I just don't think that we have had any clear signs of resolution. What President Trump wants. So, well, another one of the big scary unknown is we don't know how the China will react. What will be the reaction of the China, whether it will go towards the conflict, or either it will retaliate, or either it will having no negative response from. So let's assume that what's China going to do? Well, the China is expected to respond with its own tariffs on 34 billion worth of American goods, joining other countries that have retaliated against Mr. Trump's trade measures, and bringing the total value of affected American exports to about 75 billion by the end of this week. So this is still a very small fraction of 1.55 trillions of good that the United States exported last year. But in some industries, the pain is becoming intense. And let me clarify you that every dollar, and it's a very interesting thing which I'm going to tell you, that every dollar spent on an item labeled made in China, the 55 cents went for the service produced in the United States of America. So I think that we are going to see an effect on the longer term view of the United States as a place to export. But these tariffs are not hitting the mark, and they are making it much harder for America firms to do business inside the United States, let alone export markets. So overall, if we analyze the whole situation, if we grim down the situation, we get to know that actually the United States of America has triggered a war which will eventually haunt its economy, haunt the global economy, because the whole United States of America and the Trump administration is going towards the protectionist policies. And in the era of a globalization, the protectionist and the nationalistic approaches, the anti-globalization approaches eventually make the empires fall. The United States of America's economy could not sustain without the globalization. Actually, we have seen that Trump initially, when he comes into the government, he actually back off from the TTP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and again now this is a big woe. He actually started the war, and we were actually living in a paradox myth that he will not continue the war, or he's just saying it. But today morning he actually shot his first fire, and now let's see how it will impact globally, how it will impact regionally, and how it will impact the domestically. If the United States of America will not gain much from that risk, much from that tariff, so it's going to be the demise of the United States of America. We'll have to see what will happen within the week, within the 2 weeks, and the results will be in front. How the China will respond, either it will convert, either it will put again more tariffs. That would be a very interesting situation, and it will have a global impact. So we'll see what will happen in the next week. Till that, just take care of yourself. Goodbye.